Okay, so, hi, hello, welcome back to another Creepypasta Story Time. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that name. I think I said this in a couple of the videos that I'm deciding to just change the name completely, but I might just keep Creepypasta Video. So, I don't know, still a work in progress. But yeah, I have a creepypasta for you today. It's called The Theater. But before I get to the video, before I get into the video, I'd like to tell you guys just a couple of things. First off, at the time of me recording this video, something is wrong with me. I'm pretty sure it's just like a head cold or something like that, though, but I feel kind of weird, and you can probably definitely hear it in my voice. So if I take a little moment to, not die, please bear with me. Also, second of all, please consider using code GOONS over at gamerstops.gg. You get 10% off at the checkout, and that goes for, tubs, merchandise, shirts, shaker cups, and all that lovely stuff. And one more thing, this is all one take. So, definitely in this video, if you hear me kind of sniffle, mumble, fumble my words, and hopefully I don't cough, but, sorry about that. I, I, I slept with the window. I slept with the window open, like, a night or two ago, so I don't know if it's like my allergies or something like that, but yeah. Okay, well, I know that was pretty long-winded, but let's get into the video. So, this one's called The Theater. With every, creepypasta about video games, it's like, hey, did you ever hear of this? Yeah, me neither. But I actually looked into it, so it's one of those creepypastas, but I thought, hey, it'll be pretty cool to do. So, let's get into it. This one is called The Theater. Have you ever heard of an old PC game called The Theater? Yeah, I didn't think so. Probably because many people say it doesn't even exist. You see, The Theater is an old computer game released around the same time as Doom. Today, if you ever find it, it's only available on crappy bootleg CD-ROMs, which, more often than not, they don't even actually contain the game. The actual legitimate copies that say that they were released back in the day featured a blank cover with nothing but the sprite of what has since been named the Ticket Taker. He is simply a poorly drawn pixelated Caucasian bald man with large red lips wearing a red vest over a white shirt and black pants. He is completely emotionless, though some say if you smash the disc, his face is shown as angry, and next time you look at the cover, his face is shown as angry the next time you look at the cover. But this is just dismissed as an urban myth. What is peculiar about the theater, though, is that there is no developer named on the jewel case, or a game description on the back. It is simply the Ticket Taker on the white backdrop on both sides. The game was initially known for its inability to install correctly. The installation process immediately locks up the computer when the user reaches the license agreement. Also strange about the licensing agreement for Theater is that whenever the development studio is supposed to be named, the text is simply a blank line. Anyways, most people who have claimed to own one of the original CDs say that they figured out how to install the game by simply rebooting their computer on the licensing agreement with the disc still inside. Then they are prompted to press I agree on startup. Then they continue with the installation. The game then starts up without any introduction, besides the main menu that is simply the sprite of a movie theater's exterior on an empty city street. The title fades in, and the three menu buttons, New Game, Load, Options. Selecting Options immediately crashes the game to the desktop. Load is said not to function at all. Even if you do have a saved game, nothing will ever happen if you press it. Thus, New Game is the only working menu option. Once it is selected, you are in the first-person view. You are standing in an empty movie theater lobby, with the exception of the ticket taker standing in front, of a dark hallway which one can only assume leads you into the theater themselves. There's nothing to do but look at the poorly drawn, mostly illegible movie posters or approach the ticket taker. Once the player moves up towards the ticket taker, a very low-quality sound clip plays saying, "Thank you, please enjoy the movie," along with a speech box saying the same thing. You then walk into the hallway, and the screen fades black, and you're back in the empty lobby. And you do the exact same thing again, and again, and again. While this may sound like a really horrible game, a number of peculiar things occur as you continue to play it. The number of times that you have to continue into the hall after giving your ticket to the ticket taker before strange events happen is unknown. Most state that it's completely random and could take anywhere from the first playthrough to 400th. What happens though has deeply disturbed some players. The first occurrence is when the player fades back in after walking into the hallway. This time, they will notice the ticket taker is completely absent. The player then, without any other option, decides to walk into the dark hallway. The sound clip and text box mentioned previously still play in the absence of the ticket taker. But when the player walks into the hallway, the screen does not fade out. It goes pitch black. As they walk deeper into the hall, it goes pitch black as they walk deeper into the hall, but the player footsteps sound clip is still playing as they continue to push up the button on the keyboard. Those claiming to have played the original game report to have felt extremely uncomfortable walking down this hallway, anticipating the whole time that something horrible may happen. Well, eventually the player is unable to move forward. There is nothing for a few moments before a strange sprite that is described as the ticket taker, but with a swirl for a face. It appears and stands before the player. The original players of the game say that their bodies immediately froze up and their stomachs turned and saw the sprite, which has been appropriately named the Swirly Head Man. Nothing happens as Swirly Head Man stands before them. Then suddenly a piercing screech plays as the game glitches out. This lasts for a few minutes, with the screeching being continuous. Then the players abruptly return to the lobby, with all the sounds and graphics being as they should be. The game continues normally for the next couple of cycles, of entering the hallway with a couple of original players claiming that the Swirly Head Man will briefly appear and disappear in the corner of the screen as a brisk yelp sound effect plays. Then, at some point after meeting the Swirly Head Man, the player sees the ticket taker pacing back and forth, though there is no walking animation. The sprite limbs are completely static, so he just hops up and down slightly as a substitute, with his eyes being wide and his mouth open to simulate a worried facial expression. Some players noted that the movie posters have been replaced with images of the Swirly Head Man, which caused them to immediately turn the character's head away from posters and approach the ticket taker. Then another different, low-quality clip plays, but the speech box contains nothing but corrupted characters that cause whoever text that would have been in the box to be completely illegible. Due to the extremely low quality of the sound, it is debated by players what exactly the ticket takers say at this point, though it is widely agreed that he says, "Never reach the other levels." Then the screen fades out once again, and returns the player back to the starting point in the lobby. But the ticket taker is gone, and the hallway is blocked by a large brick wall sprite. Touching the brick wall will immediately crash the game, and that's all there is to it. No one knows what the other levels are and how to gain access to them, nor is it known that why this Swirly Head Man causes such acute fear in those who have seen him in the game. All the original copies of the theater have either been lost or destroyed. But the creepiest part is in fact that all the original players of the game claimed to occasionally see a brief glimpse of the Swirly Head Man out of the corner of their eyes. Okay, so that's it for the story. Apparently, there is a sequel to the theater, and this is the true story of the theater. Um, you know what? I'll read it for you all. Yeah, again, this is kind of like the quick intermission. Yeah, sorry. If my reading today is not up to the best. I think a lot of people would know that when you're sick and you try to read something, that doesn't quite work well. But yeah, I'm gonna read part 2 now. So let's get into it. The true story of the theater. It's not something whispered about in certain circles. It's not something that comes in a plain looking jewel case. It's not by a nameless, untraceable developer. And it's certainly not supernatural. The game in question is indeed called The Theater, R before E, and was developed by a company called Salida Software. I'm fairly certain it's an English company despite the Spanish name. And as far as I know, all they made was learning software. I have Maths Suite from them somewhere around here. So, the theater was probably meant to be some sort of educational edutainment game. I know I did not read that wrong. Edutainment game. The game was obviously never finished, probably from the lack of funding of the whole company going under. The description in the story is actually pretty accurate. It's a first-person perspective with flat sprites and 3D-ish environment, and glitchy as hell. The ticket taker has an egg-shaped body, and one of his hands is huge and misshapen. I think to look like he's reaching towards you for your ticket. The description of the swirly-head man is also accurate. Just a glitched version of the ticket taker, but I saw a few people saying that he looked like Glygas, and that isn't the case. The features on his face are just swirled, and the red because his lips are gigantic. I have absolutely no idea why this happened, because while there are a few character sprites in the game resources, this isn't one of them. Oh, and just to clarify, the sprite is a bit creepy, that's all. It's not terrifying, and it's never filled me with a sense of dread. It's just a bit creepy. The game plays pretty much exactly as stated in the story. So accurately, in fact, that I think the author just downloaded it somewhere and decided to make a scary story of his experiences. I'll admit that some things in it can be unsettling, but not, oh my god, crap your pants scary. Like I said, the game is unfinished and very glitchy. I think the idea is to select a movie from the posters on the wall, enter the theater, and play a minigame. The minigames are glitchy and missing resources, to the point of being almost unplayable. But there doesn't seem to be a time limit on any of them, so you just have to plow through them until you've done something right enough time to be dumped into the lobby. What's described in the story is what happens if you don't select a movie. You will be allowed to enter the theater, but since the parameter of which game to load has been set, you'll be just be dumped back into the lobby. Here's where it gets weird. If you continue to enter the theater without choosing a movie, odd, sometimes creepy things will happen. I'm not sure why, but if I were to make an educated guess, it will be that glitching past the minigames like this causes variables to reach values that weren't meant to be, resulting in things appearing where they shouldn't, or, the game is just glitched to hell and back. It's been years, but here are some of the effects I can remember. The swirly-head man, movie posters appearing out of the frame, textures changing color, legitimately disturbing audio issues, there's other characters, other areas. The last two are obviously the most interesting ones. Sometimes you'll spawn in a small room with a black floor and green walls, which will crash the game if touched. Sometimes you'll appear in a room similar to the lobby with a concession stand, kind of, and there's a woman behind the counter, with an incredibly poorly drawn popcorn machine and soda fountain. But it's all just an image on the wall. It's basically just a big yellow concession stand mural. I don't remember if you can interact with it or not. The only character that appears worth talking about is a guy in a brown jacket, who appears on the sidewalk outside the lobby. Looking back, I don't think the story mentioned this, but to the left of where you start out, the wall is a row of glass doors looking out onto the street outside the theater. If you glitch past the minigames enough, a man in a weird looking jacket, and I think it's supposed to be tweed, is a mess, with a huge smile on his face, will just be on the other side of the door staring at you. I mean a huge smile, like Freaky Fred or Spark Brushel. Google image search if you want. Actually, since he has the same body shape as the ticket taker, he looks a bit like the mayor from The Nightmare Before Christmas. His smile isn't creepy though, it's just broad. What is creepy are his eyes. While the ticket taker ashtray and other sprites will always face you, the smiling guy is anchored in place like one of the walls. His eyes, however, are always staring right at you. Just thinking about that gives me chills. Okay. While there's nothing overtly scary or supernatural about the game itself, that's one thing I will admit legitimately scares me, like a porcelain doll. That's pretty much all there is to the theater. If you can find it somewhere, I recommend downloading it just to see what it's like. Oh, one thing I'd forgotten. As stated in the story, getting the thing to run is, to say the least, difficult. I think someone got a hold of all the code and resources and just compiled it and added their own installer or something again. There's nothing paranormal about the installation, it just doesn't work well. Okay, so that's that's it for the theater. Yet again, sorry if my storytelling today is worse than usual. Yet again, I had that weird like sickness thing, and it let up halfway through the first story, so I can actually brief now. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed that story. Yeah, I didn't like part 2. Part 2 was just
Well, actually, everything that you see and think is actually not really true.
it's like, okay, yeah, you always got the actually people in the world. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. Yeah, I honestly don't. So, I'm gonna end the video here. So, all my links are down below. You can find me on anything, and while you're down there, you can also see the link to gamersubs.gg. Please consider checking them out. They sell amazing drinks of amazing varieties. If you go check it out, you can probably find a flavor you like. Gamersubs is the best drink on the market for gaming, unlike the other brands that are just trying to copy their style. And yeah, and if you want to buy anything, please consider using code GOONS. You get 10% off checkout, and you know, all that good stuff. And yeah. Also, while I am here, I do want to say one thing. I mentioned this way back when in the r/nosleep video, but I do and probably still have a speech impediment. So you know, if you hear me say some shit wrong, my bad. But yeah, I don't know why that just popped back in my head. But yeah, so I don't have anything else to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider checking out the links down below. There's a donation link too if you want to donate to me, because I make no money off this stuff. So yeah, Honestly, thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.